Alright, so why is my username Theyskate? If you know who I am, this is probably not a huge surprise, but I am non-binary. More specifically, I am agender, which means I experience a lack of gender. I don't really fuck with the gender thing. I opt out of the gender thing. People may see me as like a cis woman, but that is not who I am. And yeah, that's kind of like the that's kind of like the breakdown, I guess. I mean, I use they them pronouns exclusively. That is what I use. That is what I respond to. Don't respond to anything else. So people see me on Instagram. I created my Instagram first. I wanted to talk about skating, politics, gender stuff, and you know, I know that Instagram is like a visual platform, so you might see me skating before you know who I am. And so my username being Theyskate means like they being me skate. I be skating, you know. So that's not that complicated or hard. I guess for all the people that don't understand what like non-binary is or shit like that, I can get a little bit into that. I would recommend Googling. I really would, because educating this shit, like educating on top of living this experience, on top of living this experience in America, and being black is a lot. So educating you on top of that is kind of a lot. But I like to talk, and you know, I need content. So I can talk about this for a while, you know what I mean? I guess you'd have to start with like what is gender and what people seem to think gender is. A lot of the science points to the fact that gender is a societal thing, and it changes in societies. So there have been historically some societies that have more than just, you know, man or woman as a gender, you know what I mean? They have multiple genders. In Western society, it's pretty common for the genders to be binary, which means it's like, it's either one or the other. You're either a man or a woman, which scientifically, like, is not true, because you have people who exist in that spectrum, but also outside of that spectrum. And that is the definition of like non-binary, is like not existing in the gender binary of man and woman, which is most commonly, when we're talking about the gender binary, we're talking about the like Western gender binary, because that's the thing, gender is societal. So some societies literally already have people who aren't a man or a woman, and they just exist and have been accepted for, you know, years, hundreds of years and stuff. And so yeah, so if we want to talk about, okay, you know, gender is sex or whatever, which it's not, but let's talk about like sex and gender and the relationship between those two things. So people like to say, oh, well, gender isn't a binary, so you can not identify with your sex, but sex is a binary, right? Well, that's also not true. Because of biology and human beings being so complex and amazing and wonderful, intersex people exist. And what is someone who is intersex? Intersex means that you have more than, you have like you have the sexual reproductive organs or genitals or whatever of either like both genders or a combination of both, or you know, whatever. So there can be intersex people who are born with vaginas or whatever, and they have like testicles inside of them. So if that is if sex is your definition of gender, then is that person a woman or a man? And if your answer to that is, well, if their balls are inside of them, then, you know, they, you know, must be a woman. But since all bodies are complicated and weird, we continue down that example of, okay, this person who has ovaries, a vagina, and testicles, say their ovaries don't work, but the testicles inside them still produce testosterone. They have more testosterone than a quote unquote woman, but say their ovaries don't work, they can't give birth. So you have someone who has a vagina that produces testosterone like a man or whatever, but has a functioning vagina to have sex with, but can't make babies with it. So is that person a man or a woman? I mean, ultimately, it's their decision, and that's the kind of the whole point of sex and gender. It's how you relate to your sex, like your body and stuff, and how you relate that to your gender, your outwardly, expression of that gender, and how you feel about yourself and stuff like that. So I would say, like, people, there are non-binary people who aren't trans. I do identify as trans or whatever, which is like scary to say on the internet, because obviously I don't bind. You see my breasts right here. I do like to refer to them as my chest and not my breast, but I'm not in denial. This is breast tissue right here, you know what I mean? And some people might say, well, that makes you a woman, but there are men that have breasts and that develop breasts and that can develop breast cancer. Are they not men? You know what I mean? Are women who cannot give birth not women? Are women that are, their genitals are like mutilated, or do they stop becoming a woman? I don't see how, if you like follow that thought process logically, it just really doesn't make sense, because gender is something that is societally pushed on you by the environment that you live in. So and that is through like gender roles and things like that. And so if that stuff is kind of just like it just exists, it's just like money or whatever. The only reason why money exists in society is because it serves a function, and we like use it to symbolize value, even though like paper money has no inherent value. You know what I mean? Like paper does not value anything. It is the symbol of value. And so that is kind of the same thing as gender. Gender is a construct that it was created to put people in certain groups, to provide certain parts of society, and a lot of it is toxic and kind of fucked up. The idea that women are the ones who are supposed to be majority, like childbearers are supposed to be the ones who are like sensitive and gentle, and men are aggressive and angry and stuff like that, and men work and women stay home and and all these, like, if you look at the actual scientific research of that stuff, because psychology and this stuff is science, like you can measure this, experiment on this, see how this stuff actually impacts real human beings and stuff. All the research is pointed to the fact that gender is a social construct, and so it is deeply personal and how you identify. And so blah 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 blah, I have never really connected to my perceived gender. I really don't find gender, identifying with a gender, to be very fulfilling or functional for me. And so I don't have a gender. I am genderless. I am just a being who exists on this earth, and eventually I will die. And yeah, I just have a body, and that's it. So some people may see me as a woman, and you're wrong. And just because I'm not a woman doesn't mean I'm a man either. I'm not a man. I am a person. I'm a person without a gender. And that's really it. I feel like it's not that hard to understand. If you have any questions, let me know. yeah, I guess another thing is like, oh, but you don't have a gender, but you flaunt your body and your sexuality and you sell socks and used underwear on OnlyFans. So how does that work? Also sub to my OnlyFans. Mwah. I can have sex and, you know, be a sexual being and enjoy sex and, yeah, and all that stuff and still be genderless. And people can enjoy my body for what it is, you know, and I can still have, you know, I still have the autonomy over my body to decide, you know, what my gender is and to decide, you know, how I view myself. And if people being, just because, you know, cis men are buying my socks or like, you know, doing all that to my pictures and they feel like they are straight men, like, that's not my problem. Like, if you find me attractive, you're not straight. I am a queer person. I have a queer body, and that's on that. If you don't want to accept that part of yourself, that's like has everything to do with you and not to do with me. But I'm queer. I'm non-binary. Have been for years, and will continue to be unless I decide actually that's not the identity that's right for me, and I can do that whenever I want because it's my life. And no one can tell me what to do. I'm an adult. So, yeah, I am non-binary, agender. I use they, them pronouns. I don't believe in gender, really, for myself. I understand people really do be living for the genders. And, you know, we live for that. Shout out to you, cis people. Shout out to you, you know, binary, trans people. We live for you. But that's not me. So, yeah. That's kind of like the whole conversation. That's why I use Theyskate. That's me, I guess, in a nutshell. So, yeah, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Follow me on Instagram at Theyskate. Follow me, Stella. Follow me on all my social medias in the description box below. I'm gonna take care of my dog. Bye.